Annyeong! It's Mikey here, and guys, thank you so much for all of your guys' support in building this channel. I can't believe how far this has come. Alright, I'm almost at 3,500, and hopefully I can keep growing this channel and do something more with it. Now today I want to thank Mikey because they sent me out the Bridge75. So this is from the Shortcut Studio, and I had questions before about people asking on the Bridge75 and my thoughts on it, and yeah, I finally got to have my hands on it. This is gonna be the base model though, not the highest model. So we're gonna have to go take a look, and please make sure to like, subscribe, and let's get straight into the unboxing.
So let's start off with the unboxing of the Shortcut Studio Bridge75. Now again, thank you Mechlans for sending me this out, so I get to finally get my hands on it, because I know that many of you guys are wondering about this one and my thoughts. So as you saw, we get a USB dongle, we got extra little corner tabs, and a braided cable, switch puller, keycap puller, and this has extra 3 switches. So this is going to be the AMD Princess ones, which is supposed to be the Thocky version, but we'll see about that. Now of course we're going to have to get this keyboard out and of course take a look at this board. Now of course it comes with this special manual for the shortcuts. It's a transparent paper, which is kind of interesting, so I guess you can put it over your keyboard to kind of see and compare. Now let's get this board open. Of course I'm going to have to get my X-Acto knife to cut it open, just because it is fully wrapped in plastic. So the packaging is really nice. Got to admit, the box and everything really well done, especially if, when you're considering the price range of it. I would say for sure it is a pretty nice box. Now as we look at it, it is a really nice clean board. It's got some heft to it. Gotta admit, like, it feels a bit heavy. The board itself feels really nice. It does feel like it was well made. It's a nice metal aluminum case, and of course we're gonna have to weigh this thing because it does feel a little heavy, and then we're gonna go into a sound test. So let's see what it weighs like first. It's gonna be a total of 1.8 kg, and let's do a sound test. So now that we're done with both the stock and the lube sound test, let's open this up to see what's inside. What are we getting? So we can see here that it is the ball mount case. So it's supposed to be easy disassembly and easy assembly. Now, the top lid is quite thin. I was kind of surprised how thin it was for how heavy this board felt. Now we do get this very thin cable, sorry, not cable, foam on the back. So we have one foam just for the PCB, no bottom plate foam. As you can see here, this is a plate mount stabilizers. It does come pre-lubed. I think the stabilizers are actually pretty decent. I hadn't heard any like tinging or anything while I was doing the sound test, which is a very good sign, because a lot of times when you get these kind of budget boards, these stabilizers aren't really done well. Now as you can see there, those are the extra little silicone tabs that you put on the corners, their nubs, just to help reduce the vibrations. Now as you can see there, those are the socks that also go on the plate that just help with the vibrations. Now there is a metal piece there. That metal piece there is just because there's no extra battery, so it's actually giving extra weight to the board. Now I don't know if this is a plus or a minus. It depends because this board is quite heavy. This is supposed to be the, of course, stock version, so not the more premium version, meaning you only get like a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. So it is a bit interesting to see that. Now this is all star shaped screws, so just be aware you're gonna need a specific screw to be able to get this open. They don't provide you a tool. You're gonna need one that has a star shape. It's a small star shape, but yeah, that is a weight. Like it's a pure metal weight, which is really nice when you think about it. A lot of other companies, when they do these kind of boards and have that empty space for the battery for the budget version, they usually put just like a silicone or like a rubber in there just to fill up the space. But you know what, Shortcut Studio actually put it in a weight, so it provides extra stability to the board, which is really nice, I gotta admit. And of course, we're gonna have to open this fully up. I want to see what this bottom weight looks like, so we're gonna get all the screws out, and we're gonna have to also get the screw underneath the battery. So there is a battery screw, sorry, underneath the battery that we have to remove to be able to get that weight out. Now the outside portion looks really nice, but the inside of that weight looks gotta admit, like just more industrial. It looks like it was only one side was really taken care of and the other side was not. But let's get all the screws back in there, and of course we're gonna have to go in to do a sound test without the foam. So now that we've done the sound test without the foam, gotta admit, it sounds really clacky. Even for a so-called Thocky switch, sounds incredibly clacky, sorry. And I'm kind of surprised because thinking about it, they have a clacky switch version and a Thocky switch version. So how clacky is the clacky switch version? I'm very curious, but I don't have that on my hands, so unfortunately I'm not able to do that. Now, of course, we're gonna have to mod this board. There's not a lot of space, so what I'm gonna do is just do a quick 2-layer tape mod. I think that's gonna be the easiest thing to do, is just 2 layers of tape to make it a little bit Thocky, because this is supposed to be the Thocky version, yet I don't really hear much Thock. So I'm sorry about the camera shaking, guys. I'm trying to get used to this new setup that I'm doing with all my cameras, like my camera specifically, and the tripod and everything, so my apologies on that. But so let's put this all back together. We've got the 2 layers of tape on, and of course we're gonna have to do a sound test after we put everything back in. But make sure to know this, because you don't have a lot of space to modify this board, you're gonna have to actually move the ball bearings on the actual case, or the bottom portion of the case. So as you can see, when I'm shaking it, the top part falls off, so you're gonna have to loosen up those screws a little bit just to be able to get a nice tight fit, and that way it won't fall off even if you shake it. That's all you want, right? Like just loosen up just a little bit. And then of course I would suggest you also modify the spacebar. The spacebar does have a lot of hollow sound, which makes it a much higher clacky sound. So what I suggest is like fill it up with some tape, or like what I do, which is the sound dampener. This is something I use often for different boards depending on how much space is available for modifications. But I put this in the spacebar as pretty much every keyboard I do, and you've seen it in all my videos. I add this because it really helps. Now this spacebar should sound better. Let's do a sound test. So let's get into actually looking more into this board. Now, what my thoughts are is so far it does sound quite clacky, right? Like I'm getting the Thocky switch version, right, with the MMD Princess switches, which is pretty Thocky, honestly. I've tried on other boards and it is a bit of a Thockier switch, but on this board it is kind of clacky. This is supposed to be the version 3. It's the first time seeing a version like this of the MMD Princess. I've seen I've actually have a shorts on my channel that I've done the MMD Princess on, and that was a box stem. So I'm curious if this has any stem wobble, which it does a little bit, right? Like you can see there, it's a little bit of stem wobble horizontally and a little bit vertically. Not a horrible amount from what I've seen from other boards, but you do get some, as you can see. Like you will get a little bit of stem wobble, so be aware. But it does have a light diffuser, which is really nice. Though this is not an RGB version, which is kind of interesting. So I have a switch with a light diffuser, yet this board itself, the one I have, is a non-RGB version. Now, as I said, in this board it sounds quite clacky, right? Like it's supposed to be the Thocky version, yet I find that it actually clacks more than Thocks. I would say it's not like a full clacky switch where it was super high pitched, but it is clacky. Now, I heard some other reviews saying like, oh, the wireless switch is really easy to get to, which to be fair, it is because you can remove the top case easily, but that thing is resided really hard, right? Like it's really in there. I can't even get it with my fingernails. You're gonna need a tool to reach that, which is not a good thing. I think that they should have actually made that a little bit higher so it's easier to get to, because it's incredibly difficult to reach there without a tool. Now I want to show you guys the software. So if you go on the Bridge75 website or the Shortcut Studio, your Shortcut official website, you can actually go to downloads and download the Bridge75 via instructions. It'll give you like the whole via, how to install it, how to set up via, where to download the JSON file. You're going to actually have to right click that JSON file. So where it says bridge75.json, you have to right click it and you're going to have to save link as. So make sure you remember that. Save link as. Now they do have a web version, which you're supposed to be able to easily use it. I couldn't get it to work. I'm not sure exactly why, but going onto the VIA website, it just wasn't working for me. I'm not too sure exactly the reason, but let me just show you guys on the VIA app, because I could actually get the VIA app working. So luckily they do provide you instructions to easily get it working, and I'm sure if it doesn't work, you can reach out to them and they should be able to look into it for you. So let's get straight into the VIA, and of course, a lot of you may already know VIA, and it is a more universal software, which works well. Honestly, I do like VIA. I think more companies, instead of really trying to build a very, very basic software, should look more into doing VIA, because it does provide a lot more customization, and it works incredibly well. Like, I personally enjoy using VIA, specifically when I'm working on other boards, but yeah, so I think it would be nice if they actually provided more VIA support for more boards. Now, this is a 1000 polling rate board, which is actually pretty good for gaming, right? 1000 is going to be more than enough to actually play games on. Now, I'm going to go show you guys a little bit of a type test, because I did find that I was making a lot of typos on this board. It's a bit hard to get used to for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why. It is a 75% board, which I am quite used to, because I do have many different 75% boards that I've tested and tried. Yet this one, I was making a lot more typos. I think it's just the way that the board is shaped and angled might be just something that I need more time getting used to. It's not that I couldn't type fast, but I definitely was typing a little bit slower and making a lot more mistakes while typing. That is something I definitely noticed. And I mean, it's not a horrible thing. For some people, this might be the better angle for them for typing. But for me, specifically with this board, I was just having a little bit of a hard time making sure I didn't get as many typos as I did here. Now, I would like to, go more into this board. The Bridge75, it comes out at about 140 to about 160 USD, which is not the most budget friendly compared to, say, other boards out there, right? If I was to compare this to, say, like the Rainy and other boards, it's definitely on the pricier side. Not a horrible pricier side, but definitely pricier side. but I have to admit, like, the quality of materials used was well done. Though note that when I was doing that, it does leave fingerprint marks. It's just something that you should be aware of, that it might get scuff, and that's not the greatest, but that I think in general though, like the way that this metal was cut was actually pretty well done. It does feel great, like the board does feel pretty premium, and it was really well done. I gotta admit, like it was a very, very well done board in terms of the quality, but like it's hard to compare. Let me give you a sound test, say comparing other boards that I've tested so far. Like if I compare it with those are like more of my favorite ones from 75%. It's hard to say like that this board is better than the other ones. I do love the design. It's a very, very clean and partially retro design, but I mean the Zoom 75 is definitely the more pricey side, right? Like that's like a 200 plus USD board. The Rainy 75 is only about 100, and the ND 75 is around 100. So it's hard to say if this pre-built is more worth it than those. I would say I would choose the Rainy or the ND75 over that.
What did you guys think of the Bridge 75? Now, this is the base one, right? There's no RGB, so that's why I didn't give you guys like a backlight test. And I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, like I think this is a pretty nice board. It does leave a lot of fingerprints though, so that's something to be very wary about. And you know, comparing it to the other 75% keyboards, right, that I've tried so far, which is like the Zoom 75, we have the Rainy 75, we have the ND 75, and we also have like the P7, like the P75. I also have the Tide 75, and there was also like the Leobog and the Mons Geek, and so many different 75% that I've tried. And I would say this is like a very good, interesting one. I mean, it's kind of clacky sounding. Like the switches in this one is the MMD Princess, so they're supposed to be a little bit on the deeper sounding side for switches. Yet in this board, it does sound a little bit clacky. So if you are a clacky lover, someone who loves clacky keyboards, I think this would be the perfect pickup. Right, I mean, it isn't super cheap, to be fair. It's about like 100 on Michelin side. It's about 120 USD. It's not the cheapest out of all of them, right? Out of all the 75% that I've tried, and I've showed you on screen, like in a comparison with sound tests. It's not the cheapest one. It is definitely on a more budget side, much more budget friendly, but it's still like, I would say if you're looking for something Thocky, this isn't one, right? Like this isn't going to be great for Thocky lovers. If you do like a little bit more of a clacky keyboard, this could really work for you. And the reason I say that is, you know, you putting in the MMD switches in like the other boards, it does sound a little bit deeper than this one would. Yet this board just sounds very clacky. I'm actually curious what it sounds like with the clacky switch that they offer. But yeah, I mean, go take a look at the links below. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought. And I'll have to get you guys next time. Please check out the other videos I got.